Welcome to another swipe file from Worditude. Today I'm looking at my friend Amy's about page. Before I dive into the copy and scroll through the page and show you what I'm loving about what she's written, I'm going to run you through the top 3 things that your about page needs to do. So typically your about page is seen by someone who has already invested a small amount of time and energy in reading your content or looking at something that you've written on social media. Maybe they've seen you interviewed on a podcast, so they've had a small taster of who you are and what it is that you do, and they've come to your about page to dig a bit deeper and find out if you're their cup of tea, whether you're the right kind of person for them. And your about page needs to answer 3 questions that they'll have on their mind while they're scrolling through. The first one, which is the number 1 question to answer, is what's in it for me? So right at the top of the page, you need to make it really clear that you have something that they want, whether that's expertise or some kind of framework that's going to lead to some kind of outcome that they want. But the first part of your about page is not just about you. Don't dive straight in with your personal story. It's a hook to get them to realize that it's worth their time and energy reading the rest of the page. On Amy's page, which we'll see in a minute, she has dedicated like the top half of the above the page break, and the top section is all about getting the reader on board with the idea that she's worth their time and energy. Sometimes you can do it with just a headline, maybe a headline and a tagline, but it's really worth investing that top part of the page in making sure that they want to read the rest, because they know that you are someone who's worth their time and effort. The second question you need to answer is, who the heck are you? So, you know, that kind of nagging feeling that we get of, oh, everyone's looking at me wondering, who the hell am I to be teaching this anyway? You know, you think you're an expert. What makes you the expert? They are really thinking that. And your about page is where they come to find out how you kind of justify your position as an expert or as a teacher in this thing or as a service provider in the area that you work in. So what they're looking for on your page is some credibility. So that's any experience you've got, qualifications, professional bodies you're part of, and also any social proof that you can include that shows that other people trust you as an expert or a talented person in the area that you work in. And then the third question that they're looking for an answer for is it safe for them to ask you for help? Now, you talk about something called the cleaner's dilemma. So I would like a cleaner, but I can't have one because of the state of my house. And this is something that I talk about with other people, and we have the same issue around, wanting to speak to a nutritionist, but we're embarrassed about what it is that we eat, or wanting to go to the gym to get fitter, but be embarrassed about how unfit we are, and the personal trainer is going to see us in our weakened state. So the people who most need your help are the least likely to ask for it, because they know that they are weak in this particular area, and that's an area that you value and are strong in. And so that gap between you kind of puts you as the expert on a pedestal, and it makes it harder for them to approach you. And so what your about page needs to do is kind of bridge that gap so that they can see the ways in which you are a relatable, likable human being. And that also, you might be good at this area, but you're flawed in other ways too. So you're not like this all-round superstar who's amazing at everything. You're a human just like they are. And in a minute on Amy's page, I'll show you how she's done that. But you're just looking for any opportunities to kind of build that connection. That's why pictures of like pets or sharing what you like to do in your downtime is really helpful, because lots of people will be able to relate to that, and they'll start to see those connections, the ways in which you're the same. So if we get over to Amy's page, I said before, she's concentrated the top part of the page all about kind of recruiting the reader to kind of trust in her, that she's someone that they want to get to know because she's got something that they want, the ability to help them find a really strong defined niche, which will help them achieve better results for their business. Then she begins, this is really important as well, a really natural, relaxed photograph, so that right from the beginning, they can picture what you look like. The about page is something that people might visit quite early on in their journey, in their relationship with you. So they might have only seen 1 or 2 pieces of content before. And if you don't post many photographs on social media of your actual face, this might be their first opportunity to see what you really look like. So it's important to get that photograph up there. Do not put stock photos on your website, on your about page. Well, I don't like them on the website anyway, but definitely don't put them on your about page, because that creates a whole heap of confusion. If they've seen some photographs of you on social media and then they see a well-intentioned stock photo, it can just create confusion about like which one is the real you. So then the next section Amy transitions into is building up her credibility as a marketing specialist, and how she starts really well by establishing her expertise and her experience in the areas of brand and marketing, and mentions some big names that she's worked with. And then she explains her transition into how she started helping small businesses. And that's really important to kind of get the transition in there so that people can see like what's in your heart. Like, why did you leave that job or that area that you used to work in? How did you end up working here? We don't like to have a big gap in our knowledge of like, you were here and then you were over here, what happened? We want to know, it doesn't have to be all of the detail, but a little bit of the journey of how you ended up doing what you're doing right now is really helpful. And then what I love about Amy is that she sprinkles in little bits of herself throughout the page. So here she says, I'm the biggest empath around. I can put myself in the shoes of the business owners and their customers. So she's talking about herself as a person, her personality is something that lots of people will be able to relate to. But she's also incorporating that into explaining how that's a strength in her business and how that makes her better able to deliver the service that she delivers. So that's a great combination there of making herself relatable, but also kind of continuing to build up her credibility. And then she shares the story of about like how she had exactly the same problem. Even with all her branding and marketing experience, she knows what it's like to feel like you're trying to please everybody and ending up with something that's like a little bit beige and doesn't have its own strong identity. And then there's another photograph which is great. And then there's another photo, and this is all about just her as a person and the things that she enjoys. I love that she shares like even the music that she's into. It just really helps build the picture of who she is. And then this section here is really important, just building some credibility around the other businesses that have trusted her with their audience. So if all of these names have trusted Amy, then she's definitely worth your time and energy to find out more from her. And then she's got some more testimonials down here too, some of which relate to the work that she did with these brands up here. And then towards the bottom of the page, this is really important. This is not the strongest part on Amy's page, but it's really important at the bottom of your About page that you lay out some ways in which they can take the next step. And when I talk about sales pages, I always say have one call to action, make it really straightforward. You're only asking them to do one thing. When you've got an About page, I like to have kind of a buffet of options. So there's lots of different ways in which they can take the next step. And here, Amy has listed that you can listen to her podcast, you could join her Facebook community, or you can work with her. This could definitely be stronger. So if I got my hands on the page, then I would have like a bigger graphic associated with each one, and then at least one line of text that explains what you'll get out of that. So listen to my podcast, where I talk about this, that, and the other that can benefit you in this way. And then even better if you can have some kind of like credibility, some kind of stat attached to it. So you join my Facebook group where I do this, that, and the other. You could add in join this many people, so like 1,000 plus small business owners in my Facebook community where we discuss this, that, and the other, and you get this outcome. But apart from that relatively small change that I would suggest to the call to action section on this page, this is a really good example of an About page with a lovely blend of credibility and relatability, and making it really easy to kind of feel like you know Amy and want to get in to the rest of her website and find out what else it is that she's got to offer.